Relationships rarely fall apart because of one big moment. They drift apart because of 1,000 small ones. The couples who stay deeply connected, they aren't lucky. They simply protect the little things before they become big things. One day you realize you're living beside someone you still love, but you don't feel known anymore. The conversations have become shorter. The laughter happens less often, and affection feels very different. So you find yourself wondering how two people who once couldn't wait to be together slowly become strangers, sharing the same life. Have you ever looked at a couple and thought, I want what they have. I want that exact relationship. Not because their life looks perfect, but because there seems to be this ease between them. They laugh and they reach for each other's hand. They're so connected. They look at each other with warmth. And even when life is stressful, you can tell that they genuinely enjoy being together. Then you look around and you see other couples, and they aren't fighting. They're not getting divorced. They're just existing. They manage the house. They're in the business of marriage. They raise the kids. They pay the bills. They coordinate schedules. But somewhere along the way, the relationship became another responsibility instead of the place they went to feel connection. Now, the interesting thing is that neither couple intended for that to happen. Nobody wakes up one morning and says, today I'd like to slowly drift away from the person I love. But it happens gradually. A conversation that never gets repaired, a disappointment that just never gets talked about, a hug that's replaced by walking past each other, a thank you that never gets said. And weeks become months and months become years. And then eventually, people just assume that they fell out of love. I don't actually think that's what usually happens, though. I think they slowly stopped doing the things, the action-oriented things that help love keep growing. Because love isn't something you find once. It's something that you choose to build every day with intention. So today I want to share the 4 habits that I consistently see in couples whose love continues growing instead of quietly drifting apart. If we've never met before, I'm Jenn Pinkerton, and I'm a psychotherapist and a connection expert. Today, I'm going to share the 4 relationship habits that I believe really help love keep growing and growing long after the honeymoon phase ends. These aren't grand, big romantic gestures. They're the small, intentional habits that create the kind of relationship where both people continue feeling emotionally connected and deeply known and genuinely excited to keep choosing each other. So habit number 1, they protect emotional safety before they protect their position. So one of the big differences between couples who thrive and couples who slowly drift apart is what becomes the most important during difficult moments. Is it being right? Or is it protecting the relationship? And most of us has never been taught the difference. When we feel criticized, misunderstood, or hurt, our nervous system, it immediately shifts into self-protection mode. We defend ourselves, we explain our position and our intentions, we point out what the other person did, and we try to prove why our reaction makes the most sense. And before long, 2 people who love each other are standing on opposite sides of the same conversation, trying to win instead of trying to understand and trying to connect. But thriving couples do something very different. They've learned, usually in therapy, but they've learned through me that protecting the relationship matters more than protecting their position. That doesn't mean they avoid a difficult conversation. It doesn't mean they never disagree. It means they never lose sight of the person standing in front of them. So instead of asking, how do I prove my point? How can I get them to understand that I'm right? They ask, how do I help my partner feel safe enough to hear me? And that's a completely different conversation. Because emotional safety isn't created when couples agree. It's created when both people know that even when we're struggling, you're still emotionally for me. So think about the people you naturally move toward in life. They're usually the people who make you feel accepted, understood, respected, safe. And that's exactly what emotional safety creates inside of a relationship. When people feel emotionally safe, they are more honest, they are more vulnerable, they are more affectionate, they're more playful, they're more willing to repair, they're more willing to grow. And when people don't feel emotionally safe, they begin editing themselves. They shrink. They're no longer authentic. They stop bringing things up. They're going to stop sharing all their fears. They stop initiating affection and intimacy, not because they don't care, but because somewhere along the way, vulnerability stopped feeling safe. So that's why I say all the time, connection first, correction second. Because once someone's nervous system begins protecting itself, connection becomes impossible. You cannot connect and protect at the same time. And the healthiest relationships aren't built because two people avoid conflict. They're built because two people know how to protect emotional safety while working through conflict. And that's one of the most important habits that keeps love growing instead of quietly drifting apart. So before I go into the next habit, to the second habit, I want to ask you something. How healthy are you? How healthy are you relationally? Not your marriage and not your partner, but you. Because every relationship you have is influenced by your own relational health. That's exactly why I created the Pinkerton Relational Health Index, or the PRHI. This is a free assessment that gives you an idea to better understand your communication style, your emotional safety, your attachment patterns, your conflict tendencies, your boundaries, your intimacy, and your just overall relational health. Because healthier relationships don't begin with finding the perfect partner. They begin with becoming a healthier relational partner yourself. So you can find the link below. And I think you might learn something about yourself that maybe has the potential to change every relationship you have. Okay, habit 2, they never stop getting curious about each other. So one of the quietest ways that relationships begin drifting apart is that couples stop asking questions. And that's not because they don't care. They usually still care, but it's because they think they already know each other. But after all, you've been together for some amount of time, maybe years. You've heard the stories, their favorite restaurant, how they take their coffee, their preferences, what they're going to say maybe before they even say it, or at least you think you do. But here's the truth. The person you're married to 5 years ago, or the person you're in a relationship with from 10 years ago, isn't the same person sitting across from you right now, because neither are you. Life changes us. Loss changes us. Success changes us. And parenting changes us. Stress changes us. If we're growing as human beings, we're changing all the time. Every living thing either grows or dies. The question is, has your curiosity grown with your partner? Or are you still relating to the version of them you met years ago? So a sad thing that I hear is, I don't think my spouse really knows me anymore. And that's not because the love disappeared, but it's because the curiosity disappeared. And thriving couples understand something incredibly important. You never graduate from getting to know the person that you love. They continue asking questions. What's been on your mind lately? What's stressing you out? What is your current dream that you've been dreaming about? And what do you need more of from me right now? How are you different today than you think you were a year ago? Those aren't questions you ask because your relationship is struggling. Those are questions you ask because your relationship matters. This is why I sell connection cards to help couples connect. Because think back to the beginning of your relationship. You were endlessly curious. You wanted to know every single thing about your person. You asked questions for hours. You probably talked for hours. You listened, you laughed, you explored each other's worlds, and that's one of the reasons that you felt so emotionally connected. You weren't just learning facts. You were discovering a person. So somewhere along the way in this discovery, many couples start to replace curiosity with assumptions. Instead of asking, help me understand, they think, I already know. I already know why you did that. And assumptions are dangerous because assumptions usually come from our fears, not from the truth. So one of the easiest ways to begin rebuilding connection is surprisingly simple. Become a student of your partner again. Notice them. Ask about them. Wonder about them. Be in awe of them. Because people feel deeply loved when they feel deeply known. That is a fact. Not managed, not fixed, not analyzed. Known, accepted. One of my favorite questions to ask couples is this. If you went on a first date with your spouse today, what would you learn about them that you don't already know? And most people laugh. And then they get quiet because the answer is probably quite a bit. Thriving couples don't assume they know everything about each other. They stay curious. They stay curious enough to keep discovering each other. And that's one of the reasons that their love continues growing instead of quietly drifting apart. Okay, habit 3. They don't let resentment collect interest. And one of the biggest reasons relationships slowly drift apart isn't because love disappeared. It could be because resentment quietly took its place. And resentment is sneaky. It almost never starts with one huge event. It starts with these little small moments again and again. A conversation where you didn't feel heard, an apology that never came, feeling like you carry more of the emotional load, and feeling criticized one too many times, feeling unseen, feeling unappreciated, feeling like your needs always come second. Is any of this sounding familiar? Because by themselves, those moments don't usually end a relationship at all. But when they don't get repaired over time and they keep piling on top of each other, I often tell couples that resentment is like putting one brick in a backpack. Just one. One brick doesn't feel very heavy. I mean, you know it's there. But then if you had another one and then another brick and another brick, eventually you're carrying around something that is so heavy that even the smallest disagreement feels overwhelming. And that's what resentment does. It doesn't just change how you feel about today's argument. It changes how you experience your partner. So suddenly you're just less patient. You are less affectionate. You are less playful. You're less interested. You're definitely less forgiving. And it's not because you woke up today and you just decided to stop loving them. It's because you're carrying the weight of years, possibly, of unrepaired hurt. So one of the things I want people to understand is that resentment isn't usually anger. It's actually accumulated sadness. It's accumulated disappointment. It's accumulated loneliness. It's the feeling that I've been trying to tell you something for a long time, and I don't think you really ever hear me. So that's why simply saying, let's move on, almost never works. You can't move on from something that was never acknowledged. So healthy couples don't avoid hurting each other. That's impossible. You're going to hurt each other. We are human. They disappoint each other. They misunderstand each other. And they say the wrong thing many times. The difference is that they don't leave these moments sitting between them. They come back. They circle back. They repair. They address it. They apologize. They're staying curious and vulnerable. And they ask, help me understand what that was like for you. Instead of, that's not what I meant. Because there's something I've learned after many years of working with couples. People can survive almost any mistake when they genuinely feel seen afterward. What they struggle to recover from is feeling alone in their pain. And that's why repair is so powerful. Not because it erases what happened. It's not revisionist history, but it's because it communicates to you that your hurt matters to me. And that's one of the safest messages that you can send another human being. And over time, those moments of repair become so much stronger than the moments of hurt. The relationship becomes this safe place where both people know that even when we get it wrong, we're going to find our way back to each other again. And that's how love keeps growing. not because two people just stop making mistakes, but because they choose and they refuse to let those mistakes become permanent distance between them. Habit 4, they keep choosing each other. I think a big myth about relationships is that love is what keeps people together. I do not believe that's true at all. I have sat with way too many couples who genuinely loved each other so much and were still incredibly lonely, and the relationship ended. Love matters, but love by itself is not enough because love is a feeling, and relationships are built through choices. Every single day, we're making hundreds of little choices, little decisions in our day. Do I put my phone down when they're talking? Do I say thank you? Do I acknowledge them? Do I stop what I'm doing to give them affection? Do I notice they've had a hard day? Do I assume the best about them? Or do I automatically believe the worst? Do I greet them with warmth or do I barely acknowledge them when they walk through the door? Those moments seem so small, but they are not. They are moments that tell your partner, I still choose you. And one of the things I ask couples is this: if your spouse based your love only on your actions over the last 30 days, would they know that you're their favorite person? That question can usually make the room pretty quiet. And not because people don't love each other, but because life has become louder than the relationship. Kids become louder, work becomes louder. Phones definitely become louder, and stress becomes louder. Responsibilities, of course, are louder. So without meaning to, your spouse slowly starts receiving whatever energy you have left instead of your best energy. The couples who continue growing, they don't have any less stress than everyone else. They simply refuse to let stress become the center of the relationship. And they still laugh together. They still flirt and they still say thank you. They still reach for each other's hand. They still notice one another. And they still make each other feel really important. Again, this is not because they have more time. It's because they've decided that their relationship deserves attention. So one of my favorite reminders is this: whatever you consistently pay attention to grows. So think about that. Businesses grow because people paid attention to them, to wanting them to grow. Friendships grow because people invest in the energy and time with them. Children flourish because they're nurtured. Relationships are no different. So whatever you neglect slowly weakens. Whatever you intentionally nurture slowly grows stronger. And the healthiest couples I know, they do not wake up every morning asking, how can I get more from this relationship? But instead, they wake up just asking, how can I make this relationship stronger today? And sometimes the answer is so simple, it's just a conversation. It's just maybe some affection, or maybe it's an apology. Sometimes it's just sitting together for 10 uninterrupted minutes together, showing this priority of each other. And sometimes it's just looking up when your spouse walks in the room, putting your phone down, letting your face communicate, I'm so happy you're home or you're here. Those little moments don't seem life-changing until you've gone months without them, maybe years. Because relationships rarely drift apart through one dramatic decision. This is all a slow drift because two probably really good people stop choosing each other in small, ordinary moments. But the beautiful news is this: the opposite is also true. Relationships don't become extraordinary because of one grand romantic gesture. Instead, they become extraordinary because two people keep trying. They keep choosing each other, one ordinary day at a time. So if today's conversation made you realize something, made you think that your relationship has not fallen apart, but it's slowly maybe drifted apart, I want you to know that that drift is not a life sentence. That's exactly why I created my 30-day transformational relationship blueprint intensive. And whether you're coming on your own or with your partner, this 30-day transformational program, it is specifically designed to help you stop repeating unhealthy relationship patterns so that you can create a relationship where you actually intentionally thrive. So remember today, relationships don't slowly drift apart. They're going to do that because intentionality disappears. So protect your safety, stay curious, repair before resentment has time to grow, and keep choosing each other. Because love doesn't stay alive by accident. It's going to grow because two people decide over and over again that their relationship is worth it. So if today's conversation made you realize that healthy relationships don't actually slowly drift apart overnight, then the next question is going to become even more important. Are you actually ready for the kind of relationship that you're asking for? Because wanting a relationship and being ready for a relationship are two different things. So in the next video, we're going to talk about one of the biggest dating misconceptions that I see. What is the difference between wanting a relationship and being ready for one? See you there.